G'day, punters, and welcome to another episode of the Footy Form Guide podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Wally, joined as always by my good mate, Harro. But this time, he's coming live from one of his lounge rooms in one of his many, many properties because he's locked himself out of his office, mate. How have you done this?
Wally, stop it, mate. Making me sound like a bloody property mogul. Fuck.
Mogul.
You're an idiot. Absolute goose. Well, I am the goose, so I am locked out of my office, so I'm coming from the lounge room. But yeah, mate, not the greatest start to the morning when you get down to the office at about 6 a.m. and you find yourself locked out. So I've had to come home and recording from home today, but all good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. Very well. Look, as long as we get the mail out to the punters, they'll be happy. Mate, I'm great. Obviously, Hawkeys had a win. The Baggers had a win. We got to watch both games. We watched the Baggers together at the pub, and then we went our own ways to the actual game, mate. But it was good to catch up, obviously, with your good self on the weekend, and for us to be able to have a punt live, which was weird, not having to do it over the phone and watching a bit of footy. And look, it wasn't the most exciting game, but when you got one old bloke coming on for a bit of a farewell game and snagging one, and another old bloke kicking 7 for your team, it was a bit of fun. But mate, look, we should get into it. It's we've only got one round of footy to go, and then we're in the finals. So next week's going to be a tough week. The bye week is always a really tough week, Harro. So we've got plenty to look forward to. A lot of questions off social. We'll get through as many as we can. But we've got to look at what we got right, what we got wrong last week. Plenty of ticks there.
Yeah, mate. Before we do, mate, I've actually been informed that it's time for the Footy Form Guide to raise the bat for our 100th episode, mate. So,
What is it?
yeah.
How good.
So we started this is our third season now. So, and we've made it all the way through to the end of another season. So, just about anyway. So 100th episode. So well done, Wally.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Is that
That's fantastic.
first ton you've ever made?
Yeah, like by a long way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I haven't travelled, I haven't made a half ton arrow. Don't worry about that. Anyone see me battered know that it'd be impossible.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
all right,
mate. What have we got right and wrong over the weekend?
So obviously, I sort of put my neck out on the line last week and said that I wanted to take the opposite view to what the AFL media have been putting out for weeks, and they were against Collingwood, for the first time ever on Saturday night, and so we went the other way and we got a 3-goal start with the Pies, and obviously that covered comfortably. So I felt really vindicated in all the work I'd done behind, the scenes, working all that out. In that match, we liked Adelaide under 90 points. That covered easily. The under total points was covered by a mile, plus Worrell and Malira disposal. So that game was an absolute highlight for the Footy Form Guide, mate. So well done to all those punters who had a fill up there.
Yep.
Outside of that, we had a few other nice little finds throughout the weekend. The over total points in the Suns v GWS, plus Anderson and Cornelio disposals. So that game, went pretty well to script. We mentioned Harry Mackay goals, and he kicked 7. Also the over total points in that game. And the Swans and Cats over total points as well were all things that we were strong on last week, and it came to fruition, mate.
Yeah, very good. What did we get wrong, Harro?
Yep, so the main one that we got wrong was, I would have to say, we liked the Saints to cover against the Essendon VFL team on the weekend.
Yeah.
And they failed to do that. And look, credit to the Dons, they could easily have thrown it in, thrown the towel in weeks ago, but they've been fighting it out, with such an undermanned side. So that was a miss for us. And also, we liked the under total points in the Richmond versus North Melbourne game. They were probably the two main ones that I was quite strong on that didn't get it done.
I think it's quite clear now for Essendon, and this will happen with other teams, is you have all of these, we joke about saying a VFL side, you have a lot of these players that are coming in, they have a small window of opportunity to prove themselves and secure a contract for next year and to get places on lists. So they are going to be playing they're going to be playing as hard as they can be with Essendon in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. Well, next 2 games. Obviously, they've got the extra game against Gold Coast. I don't know how much that's going to help. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts when we get into the Carlton game. But no, it was a interesting weekend of footy, and as you say, that Saints one, that was a brutal way to kick things off, but we definitely righted the ship over the weekend. All right, mate, let's get into some questions off social. First one is actually about some of our predictions and what we're talking about here. Hamish asked a good question. I asked you and you said, look, definitely ask it, something you can talk to. Why don't you create multis around your predictions you give every week? This week was a great example of plenty of ticks on your advice, yet the trains give a different, the trains you give are different.
Yeah, I guess like we record the podcast on a Wednesday morning. And so, and also like with the point of the podcast is we're really just, as it says, Footy Form guide. We're giving a guide to the punters. So there's nothing stopping anyone. And I've seen plenty of punters do this, is create multis based off what we put out on the show. But also for me personally, like multis make up a bit of a small portion of what I do betting wise. So like they're not the main focus for me. However, the trains we do because the punters love them, and we always back them ourselves as well.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of like makes up a small part of the overall picture. And so my advice to punters is like take the best bits that you like from the show, and if you like to have a multi them up.
Yep.
I can't possibly put out all of these types of different combinations of bets of everything we put up on the show. Like I'm giving the punters a few breadcrumbs, and they can take it in whichever direction they want from there.
Yep. So the other thing I should say is that the trains were actually created off the back of the Tab +1 promo, and I don't know if anyone's noticed with the train, they're basically all disposals, and on occasion a short priced line. So they're a little bit of a different bet. So we might be saying, for example, we like Adelaide's to go under their line, and then we like Collingwood to cover their line. But these are not necessarily markets you can then go and put into a same game multi as part of a train. So there's some other variables there. The trains were designed off to essentially, they're pretty much disposal bets, right? Like that's what we go 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, the players. And occasionally like you go, well, we'll throw a Gold Coast win against Essendon in because we know it's going to happen, and it just helps the odds get up a little bit. So that was the other thinking. Trains are a little bit different. The other thing is anytime anybody puts out, and this is just me learning this over years and years of punting, and this is not groundbreaking information. Anytime you see anything on social media or anywhere that anyone's gone this game into this game into this game and it's 15 legs, it's a fun one. It is not what you should be investing the bulk of your money into. That goes without saying. If there is a 40-1 bet that goes across 5 games that includes 22 different players, that's your fun bet. Focus on the other stuff, definitely. But look,
I reckon almost weekly we get punters send in, bet slips of things that they've followed on the podcast. Created themselves. Like we had 2 or 3 sent in over the weekend of people creating their own multis based off what the show does. So there's nothing stopping the punters from doing it. It's just I can only put out so much stuff.
Exactly.
Without it being a full-time job. So you know what I mean.
Our man Steve Travascus, who's long time listener. Steve's a great man. Always gets involved, always checks in. He had an intro and he goes, for the last round, just thinking you could give us a lean for a line and over under for each game. Not some you like, not. So I might just ask you if you had to bet. We'll caveat that if you had to, or maybe I'll post something out that goes, be very clearly saying if we had to have one in each game, this is what we do. And then that way people can have a bit of fun. But I actually really like that for finals, Harro, where there's less games. And we can look at that. But, Steve, I'm sure we can find something there. Oh, the bag is up and about. Should we include Mackay 4+ in every bet for the weekend? I love that because that's mug areas. That's what we do in our world, Harro. That's the mug world where we go, yeah, I know the horse is $1.20, but it's just going to give me 20% on every bet I have for the weekend. This is the way we think.
I'll tell you what, I tell you what, if you did that, Harry Mackay kicking 7 straight on the weekend, he's so likely to come out and kick 3-5 or something
Yeah,
if you happen
exactly.
to take that path.
But I love that. But the account that sent that was bets that don't win.
Okay.
So brilliant. That's what it's called. That's what they sent us on last week. Go, how do you win bets? How long before bookies put markets up on lengths of suspension and appeals? Ben, that's never going to happen. But it'd be an interesting. I'll tell you what, it'd make Mondays more interesting.
Well,
Wouldn't it? It'd give us something to bet on a Monday.
I tell you what, they're so inconsistent that I don't think it would be the hardest market to bet into.
Yep. I genuinely think, and maybe this is blind faith, that just due to the eyes on it, that Swan will do a heap of work in the off season. And if nothing else, whether we agree with them, I think we will get more consistency in that area next year. I just think we have to.
You can't get much worse. So
No, you can't. You can't. If I continue to back goal kicking bets and they keep missing, would you consider this a good read and just an unlucky play?
I think I can answer this.
Yeah.
There is more volatility in goal kicker bets than what there is in, say, disposals, and it comes back to the old the old sort of adage, I guess, like there's less volatility in Test match cricket results because it plays out over so many more outcomes. And disposal bets, there's a lot more outcomes involved in a disposal bet, where a goal kicker bet can literally come down to like whether he nails these 2 or 3 moments or has a bit of luck either way. So there's definitely more volatility in the goal kicker markets. Now I understand the question or the comment around the North Melbourne intel because I had a DM from this listener. I think it was over the weekend at some point, sort of flagging that he thought Cooper Harvey was going to play in defence. And I kind of said, look, just be careful with this sort of stuff because, it's obviously not guaranteed. Or apparently a track watcher had said that he trained there. Now, we also saw the other week, we had the same sort of advice or intel given by a track watcher that the boy McKercher trained with the midfielders, and then on the weekend that weekend following he just lined up in his normal position. So it's just something you maybe need to even wait till after final teams are announced on game day, and even if you can actually see the player warming up in that group, is probably when you can get a bit more certainty around that sort of thing and before going ahead and betting.
And another thing we've done with the speculative bets is taking that slightly higher amount for a small bet. So you go, if this happens, I'm not expecting them to scrape over their 15. I'm going to take the 350 for them to get 20 disposals and have a small bet on them.
That's it.
So that's another way of looking at that. All right. What better way to end the regular season with a full round train? What do you reckon, lads? Yeah, I think we can do something. The train, people love trains, Harro. They love multis and they love trains. I love it. I'm sure we can do something. Do you know what I think we could do, Harro? I thought about this the other day. If you have been blocked like the majority of us have betting on tab same game multis this season, you can still take advantage of the +1 by betting in one in each game. Why don't we find a disposal for one disposal getter every game over the 9 rounds, over the 9 games for the round. So every game will have one. So everybody will be able to get on that, and then we can cheer. And we're just looking for one a game, and we cheer it on. Let's do that. All right. I like that. That's my sort of areas, mate.
Yeah,
a game. Just bringing you into our world over here, the Mugs world. It's a good world, Harro. Occasionally you got to you saw it firsthand on Saturday with 3 of us at the table, not at your level on the punt, and the boys are just, everyone's like, come on, tell us, feed us, Harro. Give us, what are we on? And then everyone's get their phones out and we're all on, we'll do that, we'll throw that in, we'll do this. And it was just great areas.
All right. Well, Wally, we only have to go back a few weeks when I was in Bali. and you were very much not a mug at that point in time. So
No, I do self-deprecate a bit, but courtesy of yourself, I have learnt a lot, and I've definitely I've definitely become a far better AFL punter. I just worry for my accounts when spring comes around, Harrow, and I can't be bothered doing the form, and I'm getting 8 different lots of mail and tips and listening to other people that don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, all right. Um, there, uh, I'll answer this because Max hits us up a lot. Harrow's tips for betting on cricket, are they strictly related to live betting, or are there markets methods he has success with pre? You do a bit of both, don't you? I'll only answer that because Max hits us up all the time, and I know it's not footy, but you do pre and post for cricket, don't you?
look, the vast majority of my betting over the years on cricket has been in the run of the game. So yeah, and that sort of like makes it hard to do,
Mm,
like a show based on like I'm making decisions on the run a lot of the time with the cricket. But you definitely can still find, and especially in the T20s, like you got all these markets like most sixes, over under boundaries and stuff like that. So you can definitely still find some player prop or
yeah,
some game prop type bets on the cricket
yeah.
with pre-match. Yeah.
We might have to do a live stream every game and just tell the wives and say, listen, we've got to do it. We've got to do the show. We have to watch every minute of every game over summer, and we just got to stream it. I don't know. All right, mate. Michael Johnson, this is a good question. What's been your favourite moment of the year?
Favorite moment of the year. We've had a few good ones, haven't we?
We really have.
I tell you, I really enjoyed tipping up Hawthorn to win by 40 plus against the Pies. $10.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I felt really vindicated, and everybody had a really good fill up in that game. I mean, that was a recent one, so maybe a bit of recency bias there. We've had some good moments, but I'll probably put that one at the top. What about yourself, Wally?
By the way, I rate that as well. And then you had the sense to flip back and get back on Collingwood when it was time the following week at the line. So I think that was a really, really good, punting one. For me, in terms of like a little less punting and more fan moment, I enjoyed recency bias. I enjoyed Jack Gunston King's 7 goals as an old man on the weekend. That was fantastic. But I think that we had a this what I loved this year and also sucked was the way we as a community tried to get the Adam Chera bet turned over. To get the extra disposal, which we deserved and made contact and that. And I know it didn't happen, but we all got around, the whole community got around each other and we all pushed for it. And it was really, really cool. It's what we've been trying to create that we go, we've all come together on this. So I actually, as much as we missed out on that, Harrow, I think that was a cool moment for the pod and for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And hopefully next time it happens, we get one, but we'll see. All right. How much do you allow lines to move and still be a bet? I've asked this a bit before. You've always said, obviously, if you've got sort of that, is it sort of like a goal difference? That's where you're happy to be in play?
In terms of a line bet, yeah, roughly.
Yeah, a line, yeah.
Roughly like a goal. I want at least my sort of rating. I'm rating it in at least a goal different. I used to make the mistake of, let's just for instance say I liked Collingwood, and I was setting the line at like 15, and and the line comes out at like I don't know, even money. So I've got like I think Collingwood should be winning by 15 plus. You're getting even money when the line comes out. But then the line moves to like Pies minus 5.5. And I go, oh, damn. Like I've missed out here. But reality, it's still just a bet, isn't it? Because I've still got the Pies rated 10 points different to the market. Even though you feel like you've missed out a bit, you still take the bet because it's, it hasn't moved close enough.
Correct.
To your 15.5 for it not to be a bet. And so even when the market moves, I've still got where I've got my line set. And if it doesn't, if it doesn't hit that point of being at least a goal advantage to me, then yeah, still have a bet.
There you go. Very good. Will there be a Brownlow special pod or included in that week's pod? Don't know yet. If we think there's enough in the Brownlow to get around and bet on, then we will do one. Just stay tuned on that. We've got to do our work. I'll tell you this. It's going to be the best count in years. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Last year was incredible. It was a bizarre, cool count. But we have actually had some decent ones. The Lockie Neal one 2 years ago was pretty good. But this is going in like... I'm not kidding. There's 8 blokes that could win this.
Yeah. And also for punters out there, if they want to get a bit of Brownlow content, there is a show called The Brownlow Bar.
Great show. Good fellas.
Good fellas. And so tune in and have a listen to it. They're not like pro punters or anything, and they're more like sort of guys who are following the Brownlow. They like to catch up and have a chat and a beer, I think, each week. And they have a lot of fun. So, look, we'll try and put some stuff out around the Brownlow. We'll see how we go. But just for people who don't realise, there are these guys who follow the Brownlow every single week throughout the whole year as well. So I'll definitely be tuning in to hear a bit of their banter anyway.
Yeah. To give you an idea of the vibe of the show, they were good enough to have me on to represent us Footy Form Guide on one of their shows previously. And the question wasn't like, how do you look at markets? How do you look at lines? How do you guys do your form? It was, what do you like to drink? So that gives you the vibe, what you go to drink when you're watching the footy, which I loved. All right, I need 2 upsets for tipping this week. Thinking Hawks and who? Oh, we will come. Okay, so that's from Nathan. So obviously he's in the tipping comp. He needs to create. We'll go into the games. The one I just think Port win emotionally, and I think Gold Coast consistently year on year shit the bed. So that's an area I'll be playing in. But maybe Harro, we look at over the 9 games. If there's any of the lines we like, we can call them out there. We don't need to go into it now because we're going to go into each of the games, I think.
Yeah.
But Nathan, we'll find you a couple. Is there any chance of doing EPL? Stephen, you do not want us doing EPL. I'm a very, very fair weather United fan. I don't think Harro would have ever turned it on, would you? Do you ever watch EPL, Harro?
Nah.
Yeah, we're not your guys. But I will say this. When it comes to UK and US sport, there is so much betting content out there. You just got to get out there on YouTube and that. There is so much betting content, and it's really advanced. So there's plenty of options out there, Steve. But sorry, if we did it, it would be bad. Is Anderson worth a punt for the Brownlow? We've been on him all year. We're happy to stick with him. They've got 2 games. Everyone else has got 1. Won't be getting votes on the weekend. Neither will Rao. But they've got Essendon coming up. They're playing in Port. We'll wait and see how that goes. Can one of the expansion teams do it this year finally? I think GWS can. If just that injury list is built out again, I don't know what's going on there. I think if they're fit enough, they can. I don't think Gold Coast can do it in their first finals campaign. Harro, you?
Well, I do feel like it's very open. And I've actually, I feel like Gold Coast I think they're going to finish top 4, which gives them an opportunity. Do I think they'll actually do it? No. I don't think it's like, if I thought they were going to do it, I'd be pricing them above even money or below even money. But, I feel like anyone in this 8 is a chance this year, so I wouldn't write anyone off.
Yep. All right. Fair enough too. That's one again. I just speak out. I just go bleh, and Harro explains it concisely and makes a lot of sense. Jay Connor, just want to say thanks, boys. Fucking love listening. We love that you're listening, Jay. Good man. Cheers. And last one. Have you noticed for alternate lines, bookies are ripping us off a couple of points, e.g. the line for 165. Yeah, 1,000%. So different markets will have. So I'll give you an example of this. You might get. And what he means by this is saying if you've got your line is 165.5 and it's $1.90, when you go to the alternate lines, $1.90 might be 168.5, and you got to go over that. Different markets, there's hundreds of markets now. So, for example, minus 39, if the line's minus 39.5, that might be $1.90, but them to win 40 plus might only be $1.85. A margin might be different to a handicap market. Pick your own line, they take a clip again. Well aware. The other thing I was going to say is you ever go to the maximum over or under line, be careful because it was almost guaranteed that you will have 3 or 4 lines at the same price. So you might see minus 97, minus 98, minus 99, minus 100, all paying $26. So you just got to just double check all of these things, have a look, make sure you're doing it. But Paul, you've spotted it. This is it. This is what we do. I'll tell you what, Harro. This is the world that we live in terms of if you want to have a bet, you're obviously always going to have to. You're always going to have to pay the vig. Did I tell you I was at Crown? I don't go to Crown much. I'm a Adelaide casino guy. That's my casino because it's a small casino. I've never won money at Crown. I always lose. So I really, really go there. I was just there for a lunch. So my wife and I decided to go play some roulette. We roll up to one of the cheap tables, like $5 table or something of roulette. There was 3 zeros. 0, 00, 000. Just 3. It's like they're nearly taking 10%. Like it's like you're betting on sport.
They've put 2 extra zeros on the wheel.
Yeah. So it's extraordinary. So like you go. Like you're going to pay the vig anywhere. It's just different in certain markets. It is what it is. But if we win, it doesn't matter. Can't go broke making a profit, Harro. But yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd share that. That was, mate, 3. I'm like, and do you know what they've done? Very, very smart. So next to it, they've got back any 30 and they've given you a price, which is the normal price, but it feels like, well, hang on. I can box all those up and I can get $11 or something. Oh, yeah, let's play in that. It's like, no.
So many people will be having them as a saver bet too.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's terrible form.
All right, let's get into the sorry, mate, I've got a bit of light on my screen. All right, Essendon V Carlton kicks us off. Harro, Thursday night footy, Essendon $4.20. Carlton is $1.23, which seems so short for the baggers. The line's 25.5. How are we seeing it?
Yeah, well, it is actually a little bit amazing how the Dons have held up recently, given all the outs that they've had. So, I found that interesting. Not too sure. Look, Steve's asked for a lean in every game, and I'd have a lean to the Blues here. I just think that their form in the last month is just it's that much better than where the Dons is, even though with the Dons holding up fairly decently. So, but not something I'm really looking to dive into. I do look. Zach Merritt, will make mention of him. His 250th game. He's just been, superb for that club. So hopefully all the Dons fans get out there and support him. This is a bit of an odd one too. Like the Dons tell me that they just don't want the season over right now, and they still have to back up and go and travel and play another game next week. Like, how would they be feeling motivation-wise with that? Where the Blues, this is obviously their last hit out for the year. And so, look, they'll be probably looking to finish on a high note. And just with these types of dead games, and we saw it with the Richmond North game on the weekend, high scoring is always a possibility in these types of games. So I definitely will be leaning also to the overs. And we saw Carlton's game on the weekend versus Port, another dead type game, go quite high. So that all plays into that sort of bet as well. Look, you could look at Harry Mackay again. He kicked 3 on the weekend. Kicked 7 on the weekend. You can get him $2.85 to kick 3 this week, and he's going to be the main target up there for the Blues. The Dons, they don't really have a good matchup for him. Look, if Laverty actually gets up and plays, he would be the matchup, and I'm pretty sure Harry would fancy that. If he doesn't, I just can't work out who they're going to put on him. So definitely like that. Just from a player point of view, Archie Roberts, I think his role is quite a good one against Carlton. And they're probably trying to feed him a little bit to help him with his rising star chances. And so him at 25.5, I don't mind that as well. He's actually got there 3 of his last 4 games anyway. Cripper, I actually thought geez, they don't have a very good matchup for Cripper, and I was looking to wanting to play him. And look, he's just got a shocking record against Essendon. So
Yeah,
which
it's extraordinary, isn't it? He averages
yeah,
like 21 disposals or something. I was looking at during the week, and there was the one game early this year was that you could put a line for it, but the rest of them, I was having like the last 3 or 4. There's nothing over that. It's bizarre for him to have such a poor record against an inferior opposition over the last few years, Harrow.
especially because they don't have the type of player here to match up on him for like size or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to back Cripper based on his matchup. And look, Setterfield's not there, and Setterfield was the one who did the job on him earlier in the year. Um, but if I did back him, I'd be taking on his record against the Dons, which is actually really poor. So I thought Walsh returned like in great nick on the weekend, and he had his
Yep.
28. I'd be happy to play him to do that again. He'd probably be better for the run and second up, but. Look, Blues off a 5-day break here. It does feel like a bit of a game where it could have a few, banana peels to slip on it. It doesn't look like a really easy one with heaps of better opportunities later in the round. I'm probably not going to be, spending too much on this one, but I'll definitely be watching it. And two other guys which I actually found here before I move on is Dersmer on a wing is a good matchup against Carlton. He can get his 20. And also Ollie Hollands, who we backed on the weekend. The Blues are really trying to get more of the footy into his hands, and again, you just need him to get 20 to beat his line.
All right, very good, Harrow. So, mate, plenty of angles there to be able to build a Thursday night SGM out of. Friday night, we've got a double header again. We've got Collingwood v Melbourne. Look, this has the potential to be a good game of footy. Melbourne are going to want to finish on a high. Collingwood just fell over the line against them when they played on that King's birthday big freeze match by a point. Melbourne have looked, until last week, have looked pretty good and losing games. Collingwood looked back to close to their best in what was a cracking, enjoyable game of footy to watch, especially as a neutral. The line's 20.5. Collingwood's $1.30. Melbourne's $3.52. It's this simple. Collingwood pretty much need to win to lock in top 4. Melbourne, it doesn't really matter. On top of that, it doesn't even matter with draft picks and that. Essendon get their draft picks. So there's a team that are already like basically in Bali and another team that's playing for their season. So
yeah,
based on what you always say, Harrow, you want to be with the team that's got more to play for. Forget how Melbourne's been going all these bits and pieces. I mean, 20.5 points for Collingwood feels a bit light.
Yeah, mate, I can't agree more. I feel like Collingwood, maybe it's based on all this media attention that they're getting, which is, they're all telling us that they're no good, they're finished, they can't win the flag, all this sort of stuff. I watched Collingwood on the weekend run Adelaide in Adelaide to 3 points, and pretty much from the way I saw the game, I thought they not dominated the game, but they had the game on their terms all night.
Yep. That's at the MCG, Harrow. They're winning that. Like, if they got that on the expanses of the G, the way the G set up, because like everyone forgets Adelaide Oval it's not just a home crowd, and mate, it's one of the better home crowds for their own team at Adelaide Oval. They are intimidating, ferocious crowd, but also the ground is a lot thinner, so it's completely different dimensions. Adelaide, those two teams match up in the same night on the G. I've got Collingwood winning every time.
Yeah.
So, mate, if they had held on by and won the game, it would have been like, oh, Collingwood back, this and that, they can win the flag, all this. Mate, it was a toss of a coin in the end. So, I think Pies can definitely smack Melbourne here and head to finals on a high.
Yeah, and look, I think the $9 about Collingwood to win the flag now is probably an area I wouldn't mind playing as well. As much as I don't want to see him win the flag, I feel like it's a good price. And this the ovary. I don't tune into too much, or really don't tune into much at all of the AFL media, but I've kept an eye on this one because I've taken an interest in opposing him on this, and even tuning into was it Kane and Kingy. I'm not sure what their show's called, but Kingy's written them off. He said, "Nah, they've lost 5 of their last 6. This is like the runway to finals, and they've lost 5 of their last 6." Dude, they just lost to the Premiership favourite by 3 points on their deck. Like, give them a spell. And look, they're full strength now. I think they get Howe back. So you could say Bobby Hill, whatever, he's missing. But it's full strength. May as well be full strength. If you've got one guy out of your team who's best 22, it's full strength. So, I'm really keen on the Pies. I think the $1.30 is a great price too. Like, if you just wanted a short price bet to have a win on, with the D's with their season, done and dusted. They looked interested against Hawthorn, but they never were in the game from the very beginning. I feel like the Pies and the Hawks are going, around a similar level right now. With the Pies maybe got another gear they can go up into. So I'll leave that there, and I'll look outside of all that. Yes, very keen on the Pies. I did notice Dan Houston. He got moved up onto a wing on the weekend, and he kicked a goal in a very low-scoring game. And I think that they'll continue with him in that role. And he's $3.25 best price to kick a goal again this week. And if you think he can get 2 goals, he's paying $13 for that. So I feel like that's not a bad area. Josh Dacos, he gets a great matchup here. We were on him last time that these two sides lined up against each other, and him to get, I think his line's 28.5. Him to get 29, I like that. We just saw Impey get 29. He's kind of a similar player. That's 10 above his average. The week before, Dale got 30. The week before that, Marich 29. The week before that, Sinclair 32. All guys in that role. So happy to play that. And here's one, Wally, for the punters, which is a little bit of a speculative one, but percentage is critical, right, for Collingwood, right? And I think if this game gets to 3/4 time, the D's are going to be on holidays, okay? And the Pies are going to be running this out to the very last second. And so I found a market here at Sportsbet, and there probably other bookies have probably got similar, maybe even better markets for this type of bet. But the Pies to win the last term by 33 points is paying $23. You could Dutch that with 25 to 32, and the 25 to 32 is paying $12.50. If you Dutch those two, you're getting $8 for the Pies to win the last quarter by 4 goals plus. Okay? I feel like that's an area I'd like to be involved in here with the way the incentive.
I love it.
You're
talking my language, Harro. Do you know why else I love this? It doesn't matter how shit the game is.
Yeah.
At 3/4 time, you have a live bet that I'm finding it's a lot of fun to have these second half bets on Friday night footy. You're sitting there, the game's disappointed you. It's like it restarts and you get another go at it. Mate. It's like being you're knocked out of the quaddie, but you're just having a bet on the favourite in the last or whatever it is, or you've got a tip in the last. I love this, Harro. We will be involved in that.
Yeah,
that's so good.
You like it, well. I'm glad.
I really like it.
Put a smile on your face, mate.
Oh no, that is my sort of bet. And the other thing is that you've got all game that you just got this. We're alive. We've got this hope, and it's just Harro. Yes.
Yeah. So you could even play second half, a similar sort of bet based around the second half, going that way. Now, just want to mention as well, Ed Langdon? Langdon from Melbourne. Yep. He did an absolute blanket job on Dacos when they met. Nick Dacos, that is, when they met back in 8 or 9, 10 rounds ago.
Yeah.
Look, they've got a different coach in place now. I don't know if it's something they're going to want to do again. But, I'd just be a little bit careful. For obviously, a lot of people probably like to back Nick Dacos disposals. But you do want to be a little bit careful this week, because if Langdon goes to him again, he completely blanketed him last time. And I'm sure he could do it again. So, yeah.
Yep.
Just
very good call.
Put that one out there for the punters.
All right. Very good, Harro. I like that a lot. All right. Now we're starting to get into games that we're writing this now. The second game on Friday night also matters around top 4 implications. We may have a far clearer idea around top 4. If Collingwood smash Melbourne and Gold Coast lose, Collingwood all but ensuring that they've got a top 4 spot. So Port Adelaide's $4, hosting the Suns at $1.25. The line is 24.5. Port Adelaide are the most emotional team in football and probably the most emotional team I have seen in my years of watching footy. There's no secret to that. Everyone talks about it in the media. They get up, Ken gets them up. They all get up for these games like nobody else. We saw it gather round with Hawthorn. We saw it last year in the finals with Hawthorn. We've seen the emotional on the road win following that when the pressure was on Ken. We've seen all of that. Boak finishing up. Ken finishing up at home. Packed stadium. Gold Coast, a little bit shaky after last week. Have a history, as I said, of maybe just not being able to finish off the season. $4 for me. This absolutely sets up as a game that Port could roll them in. For $4, I want to be involved.
Yeah, well, I think you'll be on your own there, mate. I just can't. I just can't. When look, I think Port will definitely probably see a better showing from them, but they're just that far below the Suns and where I see the Suns anyway. With the Suns having way more to play for, in my opinion,
Yep.
I won't be taking them on. I'm drawing the line there. But I feel like we can still find some bets around this, this sort of being a send-off sort of type game. So, and I've written here, Boak's last game. I've got a Walley type special bet here, and
I love that.
I noticed last week that Boak played 45% CBA. Okay, he hasn't done that all season. I think that they were giving him a little taste as a warm-up to give him his final game to play in his traditional role that he's played throughout his career as a full-time mid. And given that, like, I think that him to get his 23 disposals, if he's going to play that role against Gold Coast midfield, I feel like that's just a great area, especially Ollie Wines out. They can really justify doing it. And like $7 for him to get 30, you probably be able to have the same bet at the tab. For him just to get the 29. So also, Wally, and this plays into the type of bet that you love in these types of games, is $2.25 to kick a goal. He did it on the
he's 100. He's 100% kicking a goal. No, okay. He is 100%. They are 100%. Sorry, going to try and get him a goal is what I should say. I don't know if he's going to kick one, but yeah. I love it. So we're talking like Kobe Bryant last game thing where he just puts up every shot. So he's just going to try and have an absolute stack of the ball. I love it.
I feel like that's what they were priming him to play that role.
And they don't tag anyway. And even if they did tag, they're not going to worry about Bogue. So yeah, I like it.
So also, I've noticed that Port have completely abandoned defense in the last month. They've conceded 133 in the wet, 153 against the Cats. They conceded 92 against Freo, but the Freo kicked 13 goals, 14. They conceded 118 to the Blues. I don't think the Blues have kicked 118 since about 1992. While still always getting 20 scoring shots themselves. And I look at this, and Gold Coast, we played Gold Coast over total points on the weekend, and that covered easily. And this week we get 169.5 in a send-off type, carnival atmosphere type game. I think it'll be high scoring, and so if it's high scoring as well, we just saw Harry Mackay kick 7, and Ben King is every bit of Harry Mackay, probably with getting better delivery. So there's no reason why Ben King couldn't have a fill up. And again, he didn't play on the weekend, which disappointed me. But we mentioned Humphrey, the Moe boy.
Yep.
If he plays, I want to be on his goals as well. So we'll see if he lines up. But I'm pretty keen to try and get a bet on him to kick a few, if he comes back.
Very good, Harro. Plenty of fun angles for us to play there on the Friday night across both games. Should be a good night of footy. All right, Saturday. Shit. The Saturday card is just bottom 3 versus three good sides, and I'm including Sydney as a good side because they've finished off the season quite well. So North Melbourne Adelaide kicks us off. The 120 slot, $6.05 for North, $1.13 for the Crows. $6.05 is massive unders for North Melbourne. The line is 36.5. I don't, mate. I'll be doing anything else other than watching this game of footy.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you want to get some peace and quiet, maybe go to the footy on Saturday. I don't think they'll have much of a crowd there either.
Nah,
But,
mate.
look, I've had a look into this one, Wally, and the Crows. They're going to get a home final regardless of the result of this game. It's either going to be versus Brisbane Pies or Hawks. It really doesn't matter, kind of what they do. You know, they're not going to be able to manufacture a different opponent, no matter what they do. And I don't even know if they've got a preference of who they'd want to play out of those guys. So, but what I did do is have a look back, and since the introduction of this pre-finals bye, these teams are using this as more of a dress rehearsal, and they're not letting up really. And so I know like there's been quite a lot of money come for North Melbourne so far, based off the Crows maybe not having to win and all that sort of stuff. But just looking at recent history since this pre-finals bye's come in, it hasn't mattered. They've just gone flat out anyway. So I feel like that 36.5 is it's far too low for the Crows to against this North Melbourne side. So I'm pretty happy to have a play with the Crows at that sort of minus 36 line. I had also a look at this one, and like I think Yab, friend of the show, mentioned this the other week. It's a good idea to be following these guys in contention for a medal at the end of the year. And so you get Dawson here with just a line of 24.5 disposals. I think he'll be flat out, knowing that this is his last chance to pick up 3 votes. And his teammates likely going to look after him as well. So happy to have a play there. Now, the Crows this season have conceded the least disposals in the comp. North are coming off a game against the Tigers where their players all filled up, and the Tigers concede the most disposals in the comp. And I've seen here that the lines for these North guys are a little bit inflated based off what they did last week. So I'll just go through a few here, which you might like to play their unders. But Caleb Daniel, 25.5. He's only hit that mark 4 of his last 10. Okay, and now he gets the Crows. McKercher, 29.5. Exactly the same story. He's hit 4 of his last 10. How's this one? Wardlaw, he has one good game, and his line's up to 19.5. He's got there once in his last 10. And Sheasel, who obviously had the 54 on the weekend, he's a great player. I love Shees. But he's 31.5. He's only reached that mark 3 of his last 14 games, and he gets this tough matchup. And then LDU, or UDL as we like to call him, he's at 26.5. He's only done that once in his last 5 games, and that was against the Tigers. So I feel like the market, based off what they did to the Tigers last week, has inflated these guys a little bit, and now they get the complete opposite of that, and that is the toughest matchup in the comp.
Yep. All right, Harro. There is bet types across multiple bookmakers that allow you to go over under across the board. I'm hearing over Dawson, under whichever North Melbourne ones could be a nice, fun way of playing this. So that's a good one. And as we know, you always get better prices if you go over under. If there's an alternate line, it's going to be a better price than if, for example, if you're 25.5, you are going to get probably 20 or 30 cents better than 25. Like, you are going to get so much more for the line. You get such a better price because there's an alternate line. So Dawson over, pick some North Melbourne players under, could be a fun way to play this. Is that what we're saying in an SGM?
Yeah, happy with that.
Great.
And the good place to do this type of bet is Dabble. So I've had a bit of success using Dabble with their Pick'em. type bets. So yeah, that might be something. If punters aren't across that product that Double have put out, that's probably one that I found quite easy to win in. And they offer lots of lots of players that you don't see offered elsewhere as well. So they'll offer like nearly 20 odd players under over. And so you can find some unusual ones there where the other bookies, they mainly pick out like the 10 or 12 most popular players or whatnot for their under over. So yeah, just thought I'd give a shout out there. They've been good to me, although they have banned me. So of course, you just got to keep
Nice.
up.
So we're going Adelaide at the line and Dawson over at North Melbourne mids and defenders under their inflated disposal lines. All right, very good, Harro. We kick on with the blockbusters on Saturday as Richmond take on the Cats. The Tigers are $17. Geelong's $1.02. The line's 60.5, Harro. Jezza surely has a big day. That back line for Richmond now is just looking. It held up all right earlier in the year against some keys, but now with Boston out, like they didn't look good back down there at all. They kind of Bolters all over the place. Like it's their season now is just. You want to talk about the last quarter and things going on. I think that their season now is just getting away from them. They have been amazing. They've done everything their fans could have asked. They've set up well for the future. We've seen some Houghton and Lawler. We've seen some great young guns for the future. They've uncovered a few stars. That's all great. I don't see a world in which Geelong just don't smash them.
Yeah, no, it's hard to see sort of anything else other than that. The Cats in great form. Now, like, it's interesting this because, they say health is your best friend in footy. I challenge anyone to look up the AFL injury list on afl.com.au and have a look at Geelong's injury list. They have one player. And it's amazing however they do it down there. Just to have to be hitting finals with one player on your injury list,
mate, amazing.
I feel like almost like, what have they done to deserve this? I've been following Carlton obviously, and I would just love for them to get an injury list like this one year to see what they could do. I mean,
Harro, it's not even a player that would be playing.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it's incredible.
So it's Tom Conway. He's no offense, Tom. He's probably not in the best 22, right?
He's probably not in the best 32. I wouldn't have thought. So anyway,
it's incredible. What a luxury to have.
Yeah. So they're obviously the sporting gods are shining on them. So they've done something right there, which I don't know, but anyway, they get the opposite of what we just talked about in the North game, whereby they're coming off a game against the Swans, where they were really restricted, and the Swans are a restricted type side. And now they come up against the Tigers, but they did not care what North Melbourne did on the weekend. And so look, Bailey Smith, his line is high at 34.5, but I struggle to see him go under it after seeing the way that the Tigers are treating this type of player right now. Like, I think Dacos had 42 against them. Obviously, Sheasel 54, and that's the type of player that Smith is. He's a hard running accumulator who loves to do the old 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And so the more useless disposals, the better when you're on this type of bet. And the Tigers have shown that they're happy to allow that in mass. And so you get him. I mean, it's a high line. It's as high as you see, but it's still very hard to see him going under it. Holmes, 31.5. He probably comes back, and does quite well. Myers, him to get 25. I think that's not a bad area either. Now, this is either going to play out two ways. Like the Tigers, they didn't push numbers back against North, and it really resulted in them getting smashed. And North mids going really, really high. It also meant that North defenders went a bit under what they expected. So if the Tigers flood back, like they have been doing all season before they played North, it'll be a low scoring game. You know, they'll probably still lose by 60 plus, but it won't be like 100 plus. And the Tigers the Cats defenders will be the ones who get heaps of the ball. That's if they do flood back. If they don't flood back, then they're going to get beaten by 100. Jeremy's going to kick 10, and I'd say the midfielders are going to fill up. So it's really going to come down to whether the Tigers go back to what they've been doing previously and try and avoid getting
Toss the
smashed,
coin, isn't it?
or if they follow on with what they did last week against North Melbourne,
Yeah.
and and go that way. If they do flood back, then Zach Guthrie is $7 for 25. He did that against the Tigers last time in that type of game. And just before we move on, no Vlosten this week. So the kick-in duty for the Tigers looks to be being split between Young and Miller. And the ball will be down there plenty. And I know that these types of these defender types actually do pretty well against Geelong as well. So you might be able to find a nice line for a Young or a Miller or both of those two guys if you want a Tigers player to bet on as well.
All right, so we've got a couple of angles here, Harro. It's if they push back and if they don't. There's no way of really knowing that. I think if anything Uze's done this year, none of it's been predictable. So it seems a little bit chaotic at times and all over the place. What about this then? What if you go, okay, well, maybe we try and find an SGM around those Geelong mids, or you can have an alternate bet that includes like the shorter line and Guthrie. I mean, how do we play this game, or do we wait closer to? Are we going to get more information? Do we think is this one of the ones where you watch the presser? So we make sure we watch Uze's presser, see if he gives anything away there, because they're two completely different outcomes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. Look, yeah, it's a tough one being the last game of the season and whatnot. Whether like Richmond, they just showed a total lack of care on the weekend. I don't know. So we'll see. And in terms of like the disposal bets, I think the midfielders should be pretty good regardless.
Okay, great.
But the backs, like if they do use their flood back sort of or fold back type theory, which they've used most of the season, these backs are probably not going to go 1 over their line. They're probably going to go 7 to 10 over their line. So, that's why I kind of like the Guthrie to get 25.
Small bet.
Yeah,
Yep, beautiful.
That kind of theory again, yeah.
Love it. All right, perfect, mate. Say no more. That all makes sense. All right, we move on. Saturday night. Saturday night, West Coast v Sydney. Eagles, $4.75. The Swans, $1.19. The line's 29.5, Harro. This completes sort of the nothing games. We move into some far more exciting games on the Sunday. Can the Eagles, do we think they've got something left in the tank, or will this just be a Sydney procession? They come into town, they get the win, they go home?
Yeah, look, I think I'm not really looking to play the line or the result too much in this one, just with the volatility around these types of games where you just don't know. There's no motivation really either way. It's amazing to think like West Coast have only had one win for the whole season. I'm not sure. We'd have to go back a pretty long way, I reckon, to find another team that's had just the one win in the season. And I don't even think they're the worst type bottom side I've seen. And it's them just having the one win. That's why we've got this situation where teams are having to have 15 wins to make finals. So, which is a bit interesting. So, yeah. West Coast, they're definitely not as bad as a one-win team anyway, put it that way, in my view. But what I do like here, and just so long as the weather's okay, and look, it's a slight chance of a shower, this is just the classic over total points game for me, given the nature of it. And I think 5 of West Coast's last 6 games at home have actually gone over the total points regardless. So definitely when they're playing at home, they're trying to entertain their fans, put some score on the board. So I'll be, I'm pretty happy. And we played the overs in the Swans game against the Cats on the weekend. That covered easily as well. So we know the Swans are looking to score and play attacking footy. So that's where I think most of my focus will be going here. One of my favourite players, Errol Goulden, coming off a tag against the Cats. Still got 23 with the tag, I think 23. So he should fill up. He could have a heap of it here, especially big ground over there. Suits the running style player. Pretty keen to be with Goulden. One other guy, mate, that I've picked up on here is Big Pete Ladhams. With Grundy out, he was really good. I thought against the Cats. He's probably that type of, you mentioned it before, players playing for a contract. He's probably in that position now, and he had 18 against the Cats. He's $1.87 to get 16 against West Coast, who I believe have conceded the most type possessions to rucks throughout the season. Anyway, so it's a great matchup for him, playing for a contract. He knows how to find plenty of the footy. Coming off 18, really like that. I'd actually back him all the way up to 25, and that's paying $21 at PointsBet. If you feel inclined, mate, because he definitely knows how to find the footy for a big bloke.
Question with that, Harro. If Grundy were to come back in, would that change your mind?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I don't know what's going on with Grundy, but if he doesn't, if Ladhams has to play his sole ruck like he did against the Cats for this to be that type of bet for sure.
Great. Yep, absolutely. All right, mate. Let's get into Sunday's games now. We've got the 3 games. GWS taking on St Kilda's the first one. The Saints, well, life doesn't get much better for the Saints. Naz, they've signed Nasiah. It's a great week for them. They've won probably the most unimpressive 4-game winning streak ever. I don't think they'd argue with that. Nice little title to have. But they're up against a side here who are still a chance for top 4. They've secured their top 8 position. They've got a lot of injuries and a lot of players may be coming back. So teams will probably drive a fair bit of this because we don't quite know where they're at. GWS are $1.18. St Kilda's $4.95. For me, Saints have probably been partying all week after the Nasiah news anyway. So they might roll into this nice and hungover. The line's 30.5 points, Harro.
Yeah, it does have a bit of end of season trip vibes for the Saints. This one, doesn't it? So, and look, they were only able to beat the Essendon VFL team on the weekend by they just scraped home anyway against them. So I'm definitely keen to be with GWS here. I'm keen on them to cover their line. I'm keen on them over total points, and then also they're quite restrictive, GWS, especially the defenders. We saw Noble just having the 18 on the weekend against them. So Sinclair, who's playing that type Noble role, 27.5. I'd be happy to play his unders. And the other guy I found here, McRae, his line's 24.5. And he's getting limited time in the guts with them trying to give exposure to the likes of Hall and Garcia. So I'd be happy to play that as well. And then, most of my other bets is just going to be focused around finding, good value GWS guys, because I really see this being a bit one-sided. GWS to put this game away as early as possible and motor on from there. I couldn't have been more impressed with GWS on the weekend, Wally.
Yeah, mate, that's a great shout. Same here. All right, nice and clear. Would you ladder the Giants line up? Would you give them like a higher line as well?
I feel
like a -50, -60?
All these type of games, and looking back over previous seasons as well, these types of games where you're getting a dead side playing a side, coming into a finals run, I feel like it's always worthwhile. There's been lots of big margins in these types of games, so that goes across the whole round for me.
Very, very good. All right, next game, mate. Just the 2 to go. I think it's a bit early to touch on that Wednesday game, so we might put something out during the week for that. Just a little note. Western Bulldogs versus Fremantle. There's the 2 biggest games of the round because this is winning your in stuff. So Freo need to win to play finals. This is their 6th time that they're playing on a final depending game in the last round. I can phrase that a lot better. This is the 6th time they're playing to make the finals in the last round. They've lost all 5 so far. So a winning you're in scenario for them, they've never done it. Dogs are $1.29 at home. Freo's $3.64. The line is 22.5.
Well, my first point here is like, could a team with a percentage of 140 miss finals? And just considering all the factors here, I feel like Freo are actually a big price. If you look at the record of the Dogs against top 9 teams, they're actually 2 wins, and one of those wins was the Giants off a 5-day break. So I'm going to exclude that, and I'm going to say that they're 1 win and 8 losses against top 9 sides this season. This is the Dogs. Compare that to Freo, who are 6 wins and 3 losses against top 9 sides. And they also did beat the Dogs in their matchup earlier, going back in the season. So, I feel like I think the Dogs will win, but I think the value is definitely with Freo, based on these things. And also, I feel like the Dogs, they do have big defensive weaknesses. I would say that the Dogs' defense is shaky at best. And Freo have definitely got the key forwards in like Tracy, who's $2.52, and also Voss, up there as well, and Amos. They can also throw Luke Jackson forward when they need to. So they've got plenty of big blokes up there that could really cause some worries, I feel, for the Doggies' shaky defence. There's no doubt that Freo's recent form, is poor since beating the Pies. So you are having to try and overcome that if you're going to back Freo. But I feel like that their best is going to be good enough. They should get Young back in the team, which makes them basically full strength. And another area here, look, Bont, they've set his line at 29.5, and I feel like in a game of this sort of magnitude, like 30 is a lot of disposals in a game like this. And I wouldn't be surprised to see like Andy Brayshaw given a bit of a role. He's done a few defensive type jobs this year, and it's probably a pretty good matchup for the Bont. They're definitely going to be looking to try and keep Bont a little bit quiet if they want to be competitive in this one. And so Bont under 29.5 is another area I'd like to be. But otherwise, just probably just going to play the value here, maybe some Freo key forwards. And look, I feel like this is going to be a belter of a game to watch. And I do love these last Sunday of the year type days, because there's so much on the line so often in these types of games, and they do present some good betting opportunities. So, and this is definitely no different.
Yep. And as we always say, check us out on X, on Twitter there, footyfgpod. That's where we'll have the more up-to-date information closer to the game on our thoughts. Last game for the weekend is Brisbane v Hawthorn. Top 4 on the line. Both teams are now in the 8, the guaranteed. I think Hawthorn would have to lose by 180 points or something to come out of it based on how it all works. Brisbane's $1.60. Hawthorn's $2.35. The line's only 8.5 points. Pooh, Harro. This is a really, really tricky one. Brisbane have been better away from home than they have at home. Both teams coming off good, strong wins. Hawthorn a couple in a row. I don't know what to do here, Harry.
Yeah. Well, I have had a good look at this one, and I feel like this is just although it's not really the finish to the season because we still have that Wednesday game, but this will be a great finish to the weekend anyway. Like, what a game to look forward to before finals. Hang on a sec. Just check that. So look, the Lions definitely playing for top 4. The Hawks to make top 4.
We will probably know, Harro, apart from Gold Coast. So we will know what Collingwood's done.
Yeah.
And the percentage that we're going to need to get above them. So if we beat Brisbane, we replace Brisbane. If we get a bigger win over Collingwood, we can replace them on percentage. So Hawthorn will 1,000%. Brisbane are just winning top 4.
Yeah.
Hawthorn will know how much they have to win by to guarantee top 4.
But
so both teams are going to know going into this game what they've got to do.
That's true. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Also, though,
100%.
Hawthorn can be replaced from behind by Gold Coast. So,
but if they beat Brisbane, they go over Brisbane, and if they go ahead of Collingwood, Gold Coast go in, Collingwood and Brisbane come out. So they might not know if they're third or fourth, but they will definitely know that what they have to do to guarantee top four.
All right. Well, you're all
so we will know that.
Okay, cool. So, look, no problems with motivation for either team here.
No, absolutely not.
So we can kind of just say that both teams absolutely flat stick in this one. So I sort of see that I view Hawthorn at the moment as the team that seems to be peaking at the right time. And how important is that at this time of year? And obviously, along with the Cats and whatnot as well, the Cats seem to have managed their run into finals really well, albeit with such an advantageous fixture, which has helped them as well. So where Hawthorn have had to beat some good sides, and they'll have to do it again this weekend. My problem with Brisbane is that they've just got this growing injury list, which has made me probably lean to Hawthorn here. Given the Hawks, they just have the two guys in their best 22 out, and they've had to deal without Day for most of the year anyway. Yep. I feel like I'm leaning to Hawthorn here. They are getting an 8-point start. They are $2.40. Brisbane haven't been so consistent this season. They've put in some brilliant performances. They've put in some shitters. So it could, we're not too sure which Brisbane will show up. Most likely the good version. Even the good version of Brisbane can be beaten by this Hawthorn team who are peaking at the right time for me. Yep. So, I'm going to be looking to have the Hawks at the plus 8.5 or 240 to win. Yep. Very tough game on disposals with both sides conceding very low disposals. So, I may be sitting out of that one. But we will definitely have a look and see if there's anyone that pops up as really good value. We'll find that and maybe hopefully post that to our X. But otherwise, mate, I'll be cheering on the Hawks for your good self and hopefully they can get the job done. And also, I'll be definitely happy to back them as well.
Yeah, well, and look, just to add some weight to that, just people probably don't understand where they're at and they don't have the same eyes on it that say I would. Hawthorn's won 8 of their last 10. The 2 games they lost were close losses to Adelaide and Freo on the road, which would be 2 of the hardest trips this year. In that, they've beaten Collingwood by 11 goals. They've beaten the Western Bulldogs. And they've beaten Adelaide as well in that mix. So they're putting together a pretty good resume going into finals when you actually look at it like that. So, arguably they could have beaten Adelaide and or Freo. And the Freo game was weird. I feel like they just ran out of gas. Don't know what happened there. It just felt like they ran out. They're running out games far better now. It's going to be interesting. Brisbane, I think, can I just ask you a side note here? I feel like anybody could win from any position this year, but I feel like winning from outside the top 4 2 years in a row feels so ridiculously difficult. They did it last year. So I look at this and go, can Brisbane win the flag if they lose this game? Do they need to win this, secure top 4 if they're going to go back to back? Do you have an opinion on that, Harro?
No, I think any team can win it from any position in the 8. Is my view on it. Obviously,
do you think the buys, the pre-round buy, that help the pre-finals buys help that?
That definitely helps it, but also we just haven't seen. There's just such a fine margin between first and 8th. I just don't see, and so all you really need to do is to get on a good run in this next 4 weeks and hopefully have a bit of luck. And I reckon luck's going to play a huge part, mate, in this final series. It's going to be. Look, I know I'm already looking forward to this Brownlow medal. I'm looking forward to this final series because I just can't remember really so many options being in play. Most seasons coming into finals, you can rule out 1 or 2 teams at least.
Yep.
Like last season, I could have ruled Port out. Before the finals campaign even started. Just off the top of my head, that was 1. So this season, I'm not ruling any team out yet. 100%.
All right, Harro, before I let you go, you've been great as always, mate. best bet of the round?
Mate, I'm going to continue on the pie train.
Yep,
which
like it.
which I feel like we've benefited from having a good understanding of how they're going. And I feel like the Pies are going to be flat stick and way too good for the D's this week, mate.
Mate, they haven't. They're still sort of haven't corrected yet, have they? So we're still getting that overcorrection in terms of the pie, or that the over number in terms of the Pies. So like it a lot, mate. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the footy, and mate, I'll see you next week.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.